Hey, good morning. I had some T-bone steaks that I did not have time to cook like I want to. And so I sliced them in half and made thin strips. And I'm throwing them down like I would do steak and gravy. And I had a roast that I also sliced thinly. And these are the T-bone steaks, the Amani part of T-bone steaks. And these are the filet mignon part of T-bone steak. The tender part. And so I am frying them down a little bit. I'm gonna add them to the water, excuse me. And then I'm going to stew them down, make some gravy to them. Have steak and gravy, some cabbage, and the rice today. So I thought I'd bring you along on the journey. And all I did was use some plain flour, some Lawry seasoned salt, some black pepper. And what I would do is once I fry everything down, I would add a little bit of beef base, maybe a couple of sprigs of rosemary to the pot. Maybe some more salt because it's not really heavily seasoned. And so I'll probably add a little bit more plain salt to enhance the flavor. I found out that, a lot of times we use chicken base and beef base. Instead of using a whole lot of beef base or chicken base, use a small amount of that and then add regular salt to enhance the flavor. And you will get a different flavor or texture. A flavor instead of using a lot of beef base or chicken base. And so I'm just experimenting with different levels of plain salt and seasoning to achieve different flavors. So right now we're doing stewed steak. And this is not a round steak. This is not a bottom steak. This is T-bone steak. Hold on a second. And these are the bones that I cut this steak out of. And so I'm going to take these bones also, I'm going to fry them down and stick them over there also in the pot to add to the, help flavor the pot also with the bones and stuff like that. Nothing goes to waste. And so this Sunday morning, I was supposed to have steak and gravy and a salad with these T-bone steaks. Went out of town, and decided I'd do it this way. It should be real tender. And so today, that's what we're having. And you just have to fry them down to a small amount. You don't have to fry it till it's done. Just fry it down a little bit. And they're already tender already. I can feel the texture of the meat when I pick it up. Just add it to the pot. And so I found these steaks on sale. And I just brought them in. They had been in the freezer waiting for steak and potatoes. I took them out one day last week. For some reason, they really stayed frozen in the refrigerator longer than I expected them to. And so that's why I did not cook them last week. And so what I'm going to do is fry these bones down a little bit, add them to the pot, cut a large onion up, pull most of this grease off out of the pan, oil out of the pan. And then I will add my onions. Get a little browning on the bones. And let those just simmer down. About 45 minutes. That should be good and tender. Should have a good thick gravy. And later, I will cook some rice and cabbage. Right now, this is basically all you do. You can do any kind of meat this way. You can do pork chops this way. You can do fried chicken the same way. Season up with the same seasoning. Put it in another pot of boiling water and boil it to the tender. And quick, easy step. My wife, sometimes she'll take a roast and she will boil the roast first in seasoning, and then she will place the roast in the oven and finish cooking it. And I'm telling you, it's a delicious flavor. I'm not able to do it the way she does it, you know, and so, but I want that taste. I asked her to cook it. She seldom wants to cook because she likes my cooking better, but I like her cooking also. And so we have opportunity to get some different flavors for her cooking some days. She's a better fryer than I am, and she makes better rice than I do. But everyone has their technique of doing things, but overall, we made a pact when we was younger. I will cook. She'll take care of the house. We both get in the yard, do yard work, but primarily that's my responsibility. And so, if she don't want to cook, or decides she don't want to cook that day, I can't complain because we made that pact. Either we're gonna eat out, or I get in the kitchen, which I don't mind cooking. I don't think it's a chore to me, and I really don't take a long time to cook or wait till the last minute to cook. I'm always thinking ahead as to what I'm going to have for dinner, or for breakfast, or for lunch, and I was prepared ahead of time, so when that time comes, I don't have to worry about waiting. And I guess it comes from my childhood, having to wait for my mother to come home from work, and she would sometimes stop by the store, and it would be 6 o'clock before she get home to cook. And so it'd be 7 o'clock, 7:30 before we eat, and that was just a little bit too long for me because I've been waiting since I came home from school to really have a good meal. And so what I started doing was learning how to cook, watching her. And so when I became a teenager, when she came home from work, the food was already cooked. And my uncle and my siblings would come home or be home, and we would all sit down to the table and eat dinner together. It was two sons and 2 daughters, and mother and father. We all sit down to the dinner table each and every day. Monday through Friday, I would cook. And then Saturday and Sunday, my mother would cook. And so that we would all meet at home about 5:30. We would sit down and have a meal. You know, and at the time it was happening, I didn't think much of it. But when I look back and realize that we sat down as a family to the dinner table each and every day, and we had dinner together, you know, it was a blessing, especially with the times that it was. A lot of times we don't realize how significant something is until we don't have it anymore. And so if I wanted to have a cake for dinner, I would ask my older brother to come into the kitchen and cook us a pound cake for that day, so we have a meal. And a lot of times I would get out and I would barbecue before my mother come home, because she loved the barbecue food, chicken or ribs, whatever the case may be. And so I would barbecue, and my friend that lived next door would always ask me, were we having company? Because traditionally when they barbecued, they were having someone over. That's all you do. Just brown it a little bit with some flour, stick it over in the water, put a top on it. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to get a bowl, going to pour this excess oil. Cut the fire down a little bit, so by the time I get these onions cooked, it won't burn. So we have, all right, let me find a big onion right quick. Give me a second to chop it up. I know you can't see it. I'm over here on my chopping board, cutting up this large onion. And so the grease is getting hot. All right, so we're gonna place those down. And all we're gonna do is just take the rest of that, the crumbs in the bottom of the pan, that seasoning, and plus it's flour, so it's going to thicken up what I'm cooking over here. It's going to make the gravy thicker. But I'm gonna saute these onions until they're translucent with a little browning, not much. I don't want to get it too dark. And like I said before, the darker your onions, the different flavors you're going to have. And so my mother would never cook her onions till they were really dark, but she would cook them till they were lightly brown a little bit. Take about maybe 4 or 5 minutes to get there. And I will always remember that she had the best stewed steak. It was a certain flavor that it would be like. And it was because of the onions. A lot of people will cook hamburger or a beef, and they would take the onions and they would cook them till they're really dark, almost burnt like. And it would change. It would give it a different flavor. Now the flavor, when that happens, I really like that flavor also. But it's you know. But when I want my mother's flavoring or type of steak and gravy that she cooked, this was one of the techniques she used. She would not brown her onions too much, so that it would not overpower the flavor of the steak, but it would enhance the flavor of the steak. And so we would have a unique flavor. And I never tasted anyone else steak and gravy like my mother. And so that was one of the reasons why I choose to cook my onions till they are lightly brown and not dark brown. But everyone has their own preference, how we grew up. And you may taste it and say, well, it'll have enough flavor because you're used to your onions being a lot crispier or darker. But try it this way and you know, see how you like it. Now when I'm stewing chicken, I do not saute my onions. I don't put any onions in my chicken, but I do put it in my smothered pork chop. I would sell dinners, and I realized some people have a digestion problem with onions, and so I had to learn how to cook my meals without onions in order that those who were having problems digesting onions could buy dinner. And so a lot of times I will either cook 2 types of dishes, meat dishes, that one with onions and one without, for those who have issues. Or sometimes omit it from the entire meat if it does not enhance the flavor that much, or you did not miss it. So if I'm cooking turkey wings with gravy, on top of the stove, all of them, I do not put any onions in it. I used to put onions and garlic, and you know, people say, oh, you know, I can't have that because the garlic or the onions mess with my digestion. So I started omitting it, and I really couldn't tell the difference. You know, and plus also, your meat tends not to spoil as fast when you don't have onions in it. I have also cooked steak and gravy and added coffee, ground coffee. I mean, not ground coffee, brewed coffee to the pot, and it gives it a unique flavor. You know, not much, maybe a half a cup. And see, I'm still cooking the onions. Now, it may look a little dark here because of the crumbs that was in it, but if you look around the edges of the onions, they're really just starting to turn brown. Because I want to make sure that I have enough gravy, I will add a little bit more water to the pot, because I want to make sure that I have that 50-weight gravy. I'm going to add the rest of the flour to this onion mixture. That's how you make gravy, y'all. Just stir it up. It's like you have more flour than you need, but continue to stir. You just want to incorporate all that leftover oil with the flour, making a roux. You just have onions in it, same way. And I'm not trying to brown this. I'm just really trying to cook it a little bit with the heat to ensure that all the flour is incorporated in the oil. Now what I'm going to do is add a little water to this. I'll be right back. Back. And what I'm trying to do, like I said, I want a little bit more gravy. That's why I added water to this here first. And get this time to dilute and come to a ball. This is how you can just make gravy without even using any seasoning. Flour, oil. And see how light color the gravy is not a dark color. That's because the onions have not been cooked really long. And so it gives you a medium color gravy. That's another thing that I look for when I'm trying to make my steak taste like my mother's. Her gravy was a light brownish, not like medium brown color. And this is really thick. And I see we have a small amount of gravy already made up in here. And so I want to cook these down for about 45 minutes. So I am going to have to add a little bit more water to this over here. So bear with me a second. All right, I'm back. And all I'm doing is stirring this in. Now, see, I didn't have to use a whisk to do this. You know, you could if you wanted to. If you continue to stir, look how nice that gravy looks. It's not even completely done yet. But look how nice it's looking. And it will thicken up, y'all. It will thicken up. But cooking is very easy. Once you get the basics, you can apply it to any type of food. What I do is I taste the food in my mind first to see what I want to, you know, what flavors I want and what I want the food to taste like. I put the season in my mind because I know what season's supposed to taste like, and so if I want a certain type of taste, like today, I did not add any rosemary to this. Rosemary gives it a unique flavor, and I always associate it with when you're going out to a banquet at a hotel, and the food has that kind of homemade but that little slightly different flavor. It's really because of the seasonings, thyme and the rosemary and the oregano, basil, all types of stuff like that they add, and you taste that flavor, and you think, oh man, this is different. You know, it's not homemade, but everything is homemade. Even made in a restaurant is made from scratch. Even pre-cooked dinners, someone made it home, made it before they put it, packaged it, made it in a large quantity, but they still had to cook it on the stove, cook it and you know, put heat to it and prepare it. And so there's no such thing as not homemade. You just didn't make it at home, but you still make it basically the same way. But it's just a different seasoning that we use to achieve a certain flavor. And so I'm going to add this over into the pot. Get some nice looking gravy. Hold on a second. Cut this fire off. And I'm kind of doing this backwards so you all can see. I'm not left-handed. And so I'm adding that gravy. Hold on a second. All right. Now I think you can still see pretty good. I'm just going to stir all this in. Now I'm going to cut this down on medium low, maybe 4, and just let it simmer. It's 8 o'clock in the morning. I have plenty of time to eat before lunch. This will be my lunch, and I won't eat any dinner. This will be my one meal a day. On Sunday, I just only eat one meal, a nice big healthy meal. This will be my one meal, so I eat around about 1 or 2 o'clock, all depends on when church service is over. And that's my meal for the day. So we're gonna let that simmer down on low till it's good and tender. And that's basically it. And so again, you see how rich that gravy, it's gonna thicken up even more than that. So by the time 45 minutes get here, it's gonna be real good and thick. And when it cools down, it's gonna even get thicker. And yes, I love my rice. I love potatoes, but I love rice more. And I'll have some this over rice, and I'm gonna cook some cabbage, which you have already seen me cook cabbage before. I may video it again, but for the most part, that's it. And for those who want a little extra meat, they'll get this bone and work those bones, you know, if they like to. But all that'll tender down really nicely. And those T-bone steaks stewed down. First time I ever done this, but beef is beef. And so you all be blessed, and I'll see you later. All right, y'all, I'll bring you back. I am going to cook some cabbage. What I have here is some celery. I'm gonna saute those first. I use some of this oil that I cooked the roast in, which is simmered down. I'm gonna cut up these cabbages right quick. Shouldn't take me long, so while you're watching that simmer, I'll be right back. I know you can hear me talking, so I'm just taking 2 small cabbages and cut them up right quick and washing them off in the sink. So if you're wondering what I'm doing over here, what I'm doing. Okay, everyone knows how to cut the cabbage. I'm not going to bore you with that, but you can watch the celery saute. And it's really simple recipe. I'm not going to put that many, you know, put a different type of seasonings in it. The basic Because I'm cooking steak, I am going to use beef base in my cabbage instead of chicken base like I normally do, because I want to mirror the beef flavor. So what I'm going to do is utilize the flavor from the beef. Hope you hear me all right. All right. Spoon. Cut this up a little bit. Let it start really cooking. You can use butter in here, but since I had the oil handy, thought I'd utilize most of that. And that's another thing my mother did. She would always utilize the oil when she cooked her steak. She would take the oil and she would put oil in the cornbread and different things to utilize so it wouldn't go to waste. And that steak is looking good, it's smelling good. I can tell I need to add a little bit more seasoning to it. And so while we're waiting on that, I'm gonna get the beef base out, if I still have some. I'm always cooking, so I might have to cut it down to the other house. I don't see any beef base, but that doesn't mean I don't have any. Bear with me a second. All right. Gotta open up a new can, new jar. So. I don't want it to be too salty, so I'm going to add a little bit to it. Add a little bit in here to that. I'm going to start out with that. You know, like I tell people, my food will never taste the same because I never cook the same. I cook by what I think it should taste like. If I remember certain dinner I had years ago, I would try to imagine what kind of seasoning that was put in it to achieve that same flavor. And so here we have, and these don't really have to be cooked till they brown. This one is lose some of the flavor of the celery. Get a strainer. I'm going to strain cabbages. Majority of the water off. I'm going to add them to the pot. Just rather get a bigger skillet, a bigger pot. It's going to cook down a whole lot more than you think it does. A lot of times, I took a big bag of broccoli, and it seems like it fills the pot. And then when it cooks down, then they have no room for more. So right now, all of this won't fit in the pot, but I'm gonna put enough of it in to get it started. And then we will come back. So what I need to do is add a little pepper. I'm gonna use white pepper. Black pepper gives it a different flavor than black pepper. And so you all try to find some black pepper. Use some white pepper. I'm trying to figure out where did I buy this from. I think it was Big Lots. So it's white pepper. And you're cooking crabs, utilize some white pepper, and I'm telling you, it'll never be the same for you. So I'm gonna get my lid. Put it on here, help to steam these cabbages. Every now and then stir your roast to ensure that the gravy is not sticking to the bottom of the pan. Man, doesn't that look good? Look at that gravy. I was speaking with my wife, and she was telling me how she enjoyed the videos that I put on Facebook. And she said, I make it seem like cooking is very easy, you know, and so she encouraged me to continue on showing. She said, you have so many different recipes, you know, I cook so many different things. And I'm pretty sure people are enjoying it because the fact that I make it seem so easy to cook. You know, and so cooking is really easy once you know the basics. And all doubt, turn your fire down. Now when you're frying certain things like fish, you got to have your oil hot, not too hot, but hot enough that it will cook the fish. And a lot of techniques we used to use were we will put slits in the side of the fish when it's really thick meat to make sure that it get cooked evenly. And so a lot of times we have to slice diagonally along the side of the fish to the bone in order for a fish to get cooked. But other than that, fish is cooked fast. Other than that, you can cook anything else at a medium high or medium low heat and it shouldn't be a problem. But you got to cook that fish and those when you're frying seafood pretty quickly. And so I'm not going to bore you with the details. I already put some beef base in here, put some black pepper. We have celery. I may put some butter. I'm not sure if I have any, but if I do, I may add some butter to this. I'm just going to let this steam until it wilts and get tender. I'm going to add some more cabbage to this, and I'll bring you back later. All right, we're back. And so we see that the cabbage has wilted, shrunk. And so I'm just moving it around to make sure the top and the bottom get cooked at the same time. You may call it stirring, same thing. And I'm using tongs to just work a little bit better. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add the rest of the cabbage at this time to this. So once I add the cabbage to this, I'm going to put the top back on it, let it steam a little bit longer. And that way I can stir it more properly once it has shrunk down. Like I say, this thing will be full and it holds a lot of cabbage. Bring it back shortly. All right, we're back. So remember I added the rest of the cabbages to, and now I'm just stirring them up, flipping them so that was on the bottom. While I was seasoning it, the ones I added can get seasoning and cook properly. That's basically it. It's pretty much done. I was going to add some margarine to it, but I don't have any margarine. I have some butter, but that is for the holidays. So I'm not going to cook with my real butter. No, it's too expensive. So I'm saving that for my cakes and pies and other things, desserts. Yeah, I'm purchasing stuff now. Still October, middle October. But I'm preparing myself to make sure I have everything I need in the cabinets and in the refrigerator for the holidays. I have all my meats except for my turkey. I'm waiting for the turkey to go on sale. But I have my hens, my duck, my oxtails. I have chitlins if I decide I want to cook some chitlins. They're already clean in the freezer. Already have my hams. Have bone out and bone in ham. So I'm gonna put those together. And so I'm pretty much ready. All I need is greens. I already got my salt, sugar, pepper, flour, have all that kind of stuff, all my seasoning. So I'm just waiting for the weekend before Thanksgiving to start cooking. Most of my desserts, cakes, and then I will start Tuesday preparing everything to cook Wednesday. So I'll be doing my cutting up my vegetables and stuff like that, and getting my meat seasoned, put back in the refrigerator, ready to be marinated for the following evening. And so I will start that Wednesday night after 12. I'll start cooking, and I will continue to cook, and I should be through maybe 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock Thanksgiving Day. I have a lot of items to cook, but I'm going to enjoy myself. So y'all stay tuned. I will be videoing as I'm cooking, and I will be posting them as I cook them. And so when I cook it that day or that night, I will be posting them as soon as possible. Will not be any editing, so everything will be the length that it is to cook. And all mistakes, take it for love. But yeah, this is cabbage. I am going to do some over the stove cornbread and cook some rice. Normally I don't cook things one at a time, but since I want a video and you all get an opportunity to see how things are cooked, it takes me longer, it wears me out, but I'm doing it for you all. So I have visuals on how to cook stuff simply. And you can apply this to anything, just like I did this steak this morning. You can take oxtails, flour them up, do the same thing to them in a skillet, put them over in some water and boil them. You can do that, put them over some water and stick them in the oven and bake them till they're tender. But that's how you do. And so that is steak and gravy. And like I said, these are T-bone steaks. Normally I've never done T-bone steak like this, but today it is. And we have cabbage. So these are the two main items. Cook some rice. Normally I have macaroni and cheese for Sunday dinner, but I'm trying to cut back on a lot of starches. Try to get my weight down a little bit. Can't do without that rice though. That's my Achilles heel. But I'm going to do some cornbread and some rice, and that will be it for this Sunday meal. And so you all be blessed. I'm not going to show you how to cook rice. Then maybe I will, but I will bring you back when I do the, they call them whole cakes, flap cakes, or whatever you want to call them. I will bring you back when I do that. But I may video putting it together so that you all can see. But yeah, it is 8:35. My cabbage is almost done. My steak is almost tender. It's not even 9 o'clock yet. Another 45 minutes, rice and cornbread will be completed. And all I can do is sit back, wait for church, and then after church, eat me a nice meal, relax for the rest of the day, hopefully. And that would be that. So I will bring you back in a little while. All right, to this bowl, I've added 1 box of Jiffy cornbread mix, 1/4 cup of cornmeal, 3 eggs, 1.5 cups of flour, and 1/4 cup of sugar. And it's self-rising flour because I want this to make sure it rises. I'm going to take some of that oil that I fried the beef in. I'm going to add that to this. Add some to the pan, which is already on and cooking. And then I'm going to add some milk, enough to bring all these ingredients together. I'm over here and stirring it up, that's all. I'm just stirring it together, bringing it all together. You want like pancake mix, you know, thick pancake mix. Thicker the pancake mix, the fluffier the pancakes come out. Like I said, the pan is already getting hot. So I like sweet cornbread, so I make sure I would add a little sugar to it. Don't worry about the lumps. Lumps will be fine. It's like cake mix, they'll cook out. And so now, just greasing the pan. Put me a spoonful. All right, now while that's cooking, let me get a plate. Put those on. And let me get this. Let's turn up a little bit. I want it to be hot enough. Now I put 3 eggs in because I really want to make sure that this stay together. So while I wait on that, I'm going to stir steak again. So I feel it sticking a little bit, so it took a little long time to stir it. Plus I cut it up a little bit, but it's fine. It's not burning. I use my lid to hold my pot. Make sure I don't push it off the stove. Sometimes I'm a little be strong, and sometimes before I realize I don't push the pot over. So I use the lid to kind of hold it in place. All right. And so they're cooking up really nicely. Now if you wanted to, you could put a lid on top of it. Is the lid too big or not? No, it fit perfectly. Took that lid from the cabbage. You got a little water in it, so it's sweating. But that will also help it cook. Steam will help cook the top of it. Loosen it from the bottom, and it looks like it's already turning brown on the bottom. So I'm taking and flip it. Almost a little too late. I'm flipping. All right. A little bit more oil and put over here and utilize this. All right, so it's not going to take long to cook on the other side. So that's basically what it looks like. It is done. We continue on with a little bit more oil. Another scoop. top on it. Let's cut this back down. So it will not scorch or burn. Every now and then, just stir it. So this is real time, y'all. So we call it over the stove cornbread. So you know, anything cooked with cornbread or corn comes from the Native Americans, Native Indians, or American Indians, or however you want to put it. But anytime you're cooking with cornmeal or corn, most of the ingredients are North American, South American origin. So a lot of things that we take for granted, like cornbread, it's really because of our ancestors cooked with those ingredients. All right, phone is ringing. I'll bring you back. See, this would happen when you go answer the phone. I normally don't leave my stove when I'm cooking, and I had it on high. And so, just let you know, everybody makes mistakes. This is, like they said, just a little bit more flavor. Yesterday, I made some homemade biscuits when I was at my daughter's, and she said, I told her when the bottom part of the biscuit done, could have put it on broil and for 3 minutes, and she put it on broil, and she walked away from the stove, and I told her, I said, well, they should be ready if they're not already burnt. They had a little bit burnt. It wasn't quite as dark as this, but they were done. But they still tasted good. You know, I still add them with the burnt portion on it. Tasted fine to me. They were really fluffy. And so, you know, just because you make an error, don't mean you have to put it in the trash. I've heard so many women over the years say because it didn't look like it's supposed to, I threw it away. I said, what did it taste like? They say they didn't even try to taste it and see what it tastes like. It didn't look like mine, or it didn't look like someone else's, so they threw it away thinking there was something wrong with it. I said, it might have been good. You might have created a new dish and really don't even know you created a new dish. But since you're so self-conscious about stuff, how stuff's supposed to look, so you didn't take the time out to really check it out and see whether or not it was good or not. And so stop throwing stuff away just because it doesn't look presentable. A lot of great things that we eat now was not meant to be that way, but it was accident and turned out great. And people are still eating it, making it, and all kind of stuff from accidents. So sometimes God be trying to give you a new recipe, and here you are throwing stuff away because it doesn't fit the norm. No one cooks alike. No one cooks the same. I don't care how many posts that I post, you'll never probably cook the way I cook. You'll never probably taste the way mine tastes, but as long as it tastes good and it comes out done, you should be satisfied. And so stop trying to compare your food. I've given people recipe books over the years, and they say it tastes like mine, and when I taste it, it don't even look like mine. It don't even taste like mine. But they feel like they have accomplished it, so, you know, if they're satisfied with it, I'm satisfied with it too. I don't cook like my mother. She taught me everything. She showed me how to do it. I try my best to emulate her. But for some reason, it doesn't come out like my mother's own. And my wife is quick there to let me know that it's good, but it's nothing like your mother's. You know, but I'm not offended, because I know everyone cooks differently, and you can't expect no one else's food to taste just like yours, or your food tastes like theirs. And so stop trying to get that food to taste like someone else if you can. But if you can't, just utilize, just do the best you can. Enjoy how you cook it, and others will enjoy it too. You know, everybody makes mistakes. That's what I'm trying to say. And you can always make a mistake look like it was intentional. Stop trying to be perfect. All right, I'm not gonna bore you with cooking flapjacks on top of the stove, but that's how you do it. And I'll talk with you later. You all be blessed. All right, y'all. That is a plate of flapjacks, hoe cakes, however you want to call it. So that is done. Didn't take long. I think it took maybe 15 minutes to cook those. Oven is not on. It didn't heat the house up. So a lot of times, you know, people take the easy route out and do things in the oven, but it really takes a toll on your AC bill when you light that oven up. And so here's the flapjacks. I've done the smothered steak. And so put that to the side. There's only one thing else I need to do. I need to make some rice. And so I'm going to add some rice to the pot over here. But I'm not going to bore you with that. And I'll bring you back when everything's done. All right, everybody. This is our Sunday meal. And yes, I put our Sunday meals in to-go boxes. So when the children come over, they just grab a box and either eat it or grab it and go home. And so, yeah, this is our Sunday meal. And thank you all for watching. God bless you.